The sky over Earth changed one quiet morning. Strange ships, shaped like black ovals, appeared without warning. They didn't make any sound, but their presence was loud. People looked up in shock, dropping their phones, spilling their coffee, forgetting where they were going. The ships hovered over major cities, New York, London, Tokyo, Mumbai, casting long, dark shadows. There were no greetings, no warnings, just silence. Then, from the bottom of each ship, small round vents opened. A thick green gas began to pour out, drifting slowly at first, then picking up speed, spreading through the air like a creeping fog. People screamed, thinking it was poison. Others ran indoors or covered their mouths, but it was too late. The gas was already everywhere. It didn't choke or burn. It didn't make anyone sick. Instead, it brought a strange feeling, a cold shiver, a tightening in the chest, and then nothing happened. Nothing terrible, at least. That's when the unexpected began. A man on a busy New York sidewalk stopped running. He looked around, confused. The fear inside him started to build. But then, for some reason, he laughed. It wasn't loud at first, more like a small chuckle. But it grew. He laughed harder. A woman next to him looked at him like he was crazy, but then she started laughing too. Within minutes, the entire street was filled with people laughing, not screaming. Their fear turned into giggles. Their panic became joy. It was the most confusing thing they had ever felt. It was like the gas touched their fear. But instead of turning it into terror, it turned it into something silly. The more people inhaled, the funnier everything seemed. Even the massive ships in the sky began to look like giant floating potatoes. In Los Angeles, someone pulled out a speaker and started playing circus music, making the scene feel like a comedy show. People danced, took selfies with the green fog behind them, and waved at the alien ships as if they were parade balloons. The aliens, watching from above with their glowing eyes, were completely confused. They had spent years studying human fear. Their fear gas had worked on dozens of other species across the galaxy. It made leaders surrender without a fight. It made entire civilizations fall to their knees. But Earth was different. The humans weren't following the plan. Instead of breaking down, they were laughing harder with each breath. Inside the main ship, the alien commander stared at the screen, watching the humans roll around on the ground, clutching their stomachs from laughing too much. He turned to his science team, his voice cold and sharp, demanding answers. But they had none. This wasn't just resistance. It was rejection. The fear gas had become a joke. In Tokyo, schoolchildren made games out of it. In London, people dressed up as aliens and pretended to gas each other with silly string. Even in places where people were usually quiet and serious, laughter took over. Earth, instead of falling apart, came together. People shared their funny experiences online, turning fear into fun. The message was clear: humans weren't going to be controlled by fear. They were going to laugh in its face, and so, while the green gas continued to spread, so did the laughter, louder and stronger than anything the aliens expected. They came to crush human spirit, but all they did was tickle it. As the days went by, the effects of the fear gas only grew more bizarre. The aliens, still hovering over Earth in their massive ships, released even more of the gas. They didn't understand what was happening. The gas had worked on every species they had encountered before. It made entire civilizations bow down. It broke strong warriors into sobbing wrecks, and it brought the most powerful beings to their knees. But here on Earth, something was different. The more gas they released, the more the humans laughed. It was like they couldn't stop. The laughter spread across cities, through towns, and even into the smallest villages. People everywhere were laughing uncontrollably, as if the fear gas had unlocked something deep inside them. They no longer saw the ships as threats. Instead, the ships became part of a bigger joke, something that made them laugh harder. In Paris, a group of friends, who had been caught outside when the gas hit, didn't hide or run. Instead, they pulled out their phones and started filming each other pretending to be aliens. One person wore a cardboard box on their head, pretending to be an alien leader, while others mimicked the aliens' strange movements. The video quickly went viral. People all over the world saw the clip and joined in, making their own versions of alien impersonations. It was ridiculous, but it was also fun. The gas, which was meant to cause panic, had instead brought out creativity. In every corner of the world, people turned the aliens' attack into a comedy act. In Brazil, a group of soccer players, usually serious and focused, were caught outside when the gas spread through their neighborhood. Instead of fearing the aliens or running away, they kicked around a ball and pretended it was an alien egg. They laughed and joked, making a game out of the whole situation. Soon, people from other neighborhoods joined them, turning it into a huge, fun game that everyone laughed about. They took pictures with the ball and posted them online with captions like, "Humans 1, Aliens 0. The more the aliens watched, the more confused they became. They had expected fear, chaos, and maybe even surrender. Instead, humanity seemed united in joy, and the fear gas was being used as a joke. Even people who usually avoided the news and didn't care about the rest of the world were drawn into this global wave of laughter. Social media was flooded with videos, memes, and jokes. It was like a worldwide party, with the aliens being the uninvited guests. One of the most popular trends became Alien Fear Gas Challenge, where people would film themselves inhaling a small puff of the gas, if they were lucky enough to be near the ships, and then try to keep a straight face. But instead of fear, they would burst out laughing every single time. The gas had not only failed to cause terror, it had turned into a challenge that people enjoyed doing together. This was something the aliens could never have predicted. Meanwhile, the aliens tried everything they could to get their fear gas to work. They increased the gas output, releasing it in larger quantities. They even tried to make it more concentrated, hoping that it would have a stronger effect. But every time they did, humans laughed harder. They had underestimated one thing: the power of laughter. It was stronger than fear, more contagious, and it brought people together in a way the aliens couldn't understand. The fear gas, instead of breaking down human will, had united humanity. People from every corner of the globe, with different languages, cultures, and backgrounds, were laughing together. No one cared about the alien ships anymore. No one cared about the gas. They were too busy enjoying the strange and funny situation. Humanity had taken what was meant to be a weapon of terror and turned it into a source of connection and joy. The more the aliens tried, the more they realized they had lost control. And all they could do was watch as Earth turned their greatest weapon into a global joke. The aliens were baffled. They had never experienced anything like this before. Their advanced technology and vast knowledge had always allowed them to defeat other species effortlessly. They relied on fear, a powerful tool that had never failed them. But humans were different. Instead of crumbling under the pressure of the fear gas, they laughed. And the more gas they released, the more the humans seemed to enjoy it. What had started as a small act of defiance had grown into a global movement. People from every nation, every culture, and every age group had come together in laughter. They had found joy in the face of danger. The aliens didn't understand. They had expected chaos, terror, panic, maybe even surrender. But what they saw instead was unity. The more the gas spread, the more the world united in humor. The aliens had underestimated humanity's resilience and creativity. So, they decided to try again, only this time, they would release even more gas. Perhaps the concentration of it was too weak before. Maybe that was the issue. They didn't just want fear, they wanted submission. They hoped that if the humans felt even more intense pressure, they would break. This time, they made sure to saturate the atmosphere with an even stronger version of the gas. It filled the streets, poured into buildings, and covered entire cities. The aliens watched from their ships, waiting to see the humans crumble under the weight of their fear. But again, the opposite happened. The more gas the aliens released, the more the humans laughed. It wasn't just the same reaction as before, it had become a full-blown comedy show. People started holding mock press conferences in front of the alien ships, acting like they were the ones in charge. They made fun of the ships, pretending to command them, speaking in ridiculous alien-like voices. The laughter echoed across the globe. In Brazil, a group of teenagers posted a video on social media where they pretended to speak the alien language, making silly sounds and gestures. The video got millions of views in hours, and soon others were doing the same. It became a viral trend. In Japan, people began to dress up as the aliens, wearing oversized silver suits and pretending to hover around in a ridiculous manner. They made jokes about how the aliens had underestimated human humor, turning the situation into a farce. Everywhere, from the busiest cities to the quietest villages, the same thing happened. The fear gas didn't break their spirits. It gave them a reason to laugh even harder. Some people even started to use the gas as a way to bond with strangers. In cafes, parks, and streets, people were gathered in groups, laughing together at how absurd the whole situation had become. They weren't worried about the ships or the aliens, they were too busy sharing jokes and funny moments. It was like the fear gas had given them a new sense of community. They didn't need to fear the unknown. They could laugh at it. The aliens, watching in silence, felt a deep sense of frustration. They had done everything they could think of. They had intensified the gas, made it stronger, and released it over longer periods. But no matter what they tried, it was always the same result. The humans laughed. They were not afraid. The more the aliens observed, the more they realized they had lost. Fear, which had always been their weapon, had no power over humanity. What the aliens had failed to see was that humans were not easily broken. They were adaptable, creative, and when faced with something they didn't understand, they found humor in it. The aliens couldn't comprehend this. They had thought fear would be enough to control Earth. But instead, humanity had turned the tables. What had been meant to conquer them had only made them stronger. Laughter had become their strength, and there was no way the aliens could fight it. It was becoming clear that they had underestimated the human spirit, and now it was too late to change that. The aliens had lost their battle before they even realized it. The aliens' frustration grew as the days passed, but no matter what they did, they could not understand why their fear gas was failing. They had tried everything, releasing more gas, making it stronger, spreading it faster, but each attempt only seemed to make the situation worse for them. Instead of causing panic and submission, the gas was turning into a global comedy show. Humans everywhere were laughing, mocking the gas, and even having fun with the alien ships above them. People shared videos of themselves pretending to be aliens, making jokes and acting out scenes from science fiction movies. The fear that the gas was meant to inspire had completely disappeared, replaced by an unstoppable wave of laughter. The alien commanders were puzzled. They turned to their science officers and demanded answers. How could a species as fragile as humans withstand their fear gas so easily? What had gone wrong? But no one had an answer. The aliens had studied human behavior extensively, analyzing their fears, their weaknesses, and their emotions. They thought they had found the perfect weapon, but instead of surrendering to fear, humanity had shown something entirely different. a strength that the aliens could not comprehend. The humans were united, not in terror, but in joy. The fear gas had failed, and now, it seemed, the aliens were stuck. Their greatest weapon had backfired, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. In cities around the world, people had begun to make fun of the aliens in increasingly creative ways. In London, street performers dressed up as aliens and put on funny skits, imitating the aliens' movements and gestures. In New York, comedians began incorporating the fear gas into their routines, making the entire city laugh about how silly the aliens were. The internet was flooded with memes, jokes, and videos of humans turning the aliens' invasion into an endless joke. The aliens tried to regain control. They attempted to disrupt the broadcasts, block the internet, and stop the laughter by shutting down the communication networks. But it was no use. The laughter only grew louder, and the aliens' attempts to stop it only made them seem more ridiculous. People had taken their fear and transformed it into an act of rebellion. They weren't going to fear the unknown. They were going to laugh at it, and in doing so, they showed the aliens that their fear tactic was powerless. What the aliens had failed to realize was that human strength didn't lie in their ability to be afraid. It lay in their ability to adapt, to find humor in the darkest situations, and to connect with each other even in times of uncertainty. The more the aliens tried to use fear, the more humanity pushed back with laughter. The fear gas that had been designed to break them only made them stronger. It wasn't just a joke anymore. It had become a symbol of resistance. Everywhere you looked, humans were laughing together, united in their defiance. The aliens watched from their ships, helpless. They had thought they could control Earth, make humanity kneel before them with the simple power of fear. But they had underestimated the power of human spirit. They had underestimated laughter. Every alien, from the commanders to the lowliest, officers began to understand. They had not just failed. They had given humanity something far more powerful than fear. A reason to stand together, to find joy even in the strangest of circumstances. The aliens had come to conquer, but instead, they had made humanity stronger. And now, with every laugh, every video, and every joke shared, the aliens realized they had lost the war before they even understood the battle. The humans had turned their fear into a weapon of unity, and there was no stopping them now. The aliens had to face the truth. They were not the conquerors. They were the ones who had been conquered by a laughter they could never understand. As the days wore on, the aliens slowly came to the painful realization that their invasion had failed. Their fear gas, which they had thought would be the perfect weapon, had instead united humanity in a way they could never have predicted. Everywhere they looked, instead of witnessing chaos and submission, they saw people coming together, laughing and mocking their every move. The aliens' frustration turned to confusion, and then, finally, to a deep sense of defeat. They tried once more to control the situation by releasing an even stronger version of the fear gas, hoping that this time it would break humanity's will. They sent wave after wave of the gas, hoping to drown the Earth in terror. But each time, the result was the same. People didn't run, they didn't hide, they simply laughed harder. They shared more jokes, made more memes, and turned the alien invasion into a worldwide joke. The gas had become a symbol of their defiance, and the aliens were powerless to stop it. It didn't matter how much gas they released, or how long they persisted. The humans were no longer afraid. They had found strength in their laughter, and nothing the aliens did could change that. The situation reached its peak when the aliens realized that the global laughter had turned into something far beyond just a rebellion. It had become a movement. People began to meet in huge gatherings, parks, and public spaces, laughing together at how absurd it was that they were being attacked by an enemy that didn't understand them at all. The more they laughed, the more they bonded. The laughter was no longer just about mocking the aliens. It was about humanity's ability to laugh in the face of danger and unite despite the odds. The aliens, sitting high above the Earth in their ships, realized that the very thing they thought would be their greatest triumph had instead become their greatest failure. The gas they had released to break humanity had instead given birth to a global sense of unity and joy. They had underestimated humanity's strength, the strength to laugh at fear, the strength to find humor in the darkest of situations. The aliens began to see how powerful laughter truly was. It wasn't just a response to fear, it was a shield against it. The more the humans laughed, the more it shielded them from the gas. The alien ships, which had once been a terrifying sight, now appeared comical. The aliens, who had once been seen as invincible, now appeared weak and foolish. The tables had turned, and it was clear that the aliens had lost. They had failed to understand that fear could not control Earth. And as they watched the world continue to laugh, the aliens came to a final harsh conclusion. Their invasion was over. They had underestimated humanity in the worst way. They thought they could control Earth with fear, but instead, they had given humanity the strength to laugh. In the end, the aliens left, retreating from Earth with their heads hung low. They had not only lost their battle but had also given humanity the one thing that could never be taken away: the ability to find joy in the face of adversity. As the aliens disappeared into the vastness of space, the humans continued to laugh. They had won, not through fear or violence, but through unity, creativity, and the simple power of laughter. And in that moment, humanity knew that no matter what came their way, they could always turn fear into something they could laugh at. The fear gas had failed, and humanity had triumphed.